It is October 11th here in California. Greg's in Mawa. This week's a sadder week than most. We lost the great Eddie Van Halen to cancer. For me, I posted something on my Instagram stating that, because of him, I picked up this. And if anybody watches the show on YouTube, you can see the amount of guitars I have behind me. All of them mostly have Floyd Roses because that's all Eddie played and that's all I ever wanted to play and stuff like that. And, it really, it's very interesting how this all has gone down. 2020, everyone can say, oh, it sucks. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing. I feel like it's the course of events in life, but the outpouring and the things that I've heard over the past few days from musicians were pretty amazing. And I just want to read one of them real quick. It's not really quick, but from Nuno Betancourt. And to me, take what you want from Extreme. You can call him butt rock or whatever, but Nuno's probably one of the most amazing guitar players. Personally, to me, I think he's the closest thing to Eddie modern day that you can touch. Dime is gone. Ray Vaughan's gone. But if you look at how Nuno plays, and he even says in this little piece, Eddie's DNA is all over his playing. So here we go. As a kid whose life was forever altered when the needle dropped on the fade of Running with the Devil, I dreamed that one day I could earn my own stripes. But those stripes are only forever Edwards. Today, 40 years later, I can only mourn those stripes. Once upon a time in Hollywood, recently, while recording the last Extreme album, in my home studio, I got a call to come down to the front of my house that someone is asking for me. I was like, damn, that's annoying. As I was in the zone cutting a guitar solo to a new Extreme song called Rise.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there you go. I dropped my guitar and headed down. I walk out, and I was being summoned by the one and only Edward. As usual, I got a warm hug and a kiss from Eddie. Even as a god, he always made you feel important. He was in great spirits, proud dad, bragging about how Wolfie's new solo album is going to blow minds, etc. What's cool, though, was the last thing Eddie talked about. He said he was super excited about reaching out to Michael Anthony to finally put the original lineup back together, saying that he wanted to do one last tour and have Van Halen go out the way they came in together, guns blazing. Finally, as Eddie has said his goodbyes, he asked about the new Extreme album and that we were recording up in the house. As we hugged, he says, I'll be back. Listen to it when you're done. And with a sinister, raspy laugh adds, it better be good. Finished it, then pandemic. Man, I was like a kid counting the COVID days down to when I could blare the new Extreme album in the studio, sitting side by side with my hero, the greatest of all time. Selfishly wanting to play him all the new guitar work that shamelessly, but with pride, has his DNA all over my playing. I guess that moment it wasn't meant to be. It's incredible. It's incredible how a younger player, your guitar cord is your umbilical cord and intimately connects you to someone you may have never meet, more so than even someone in your own family. At the drop of the needle, touch of the space bar, they're there for you 24/7, as Eddie was and forever will be. Thank you for shaping who I am today. Love you, Edward. You are the one.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a fitting tribute to someone who's given so much to music. And I feel like whether you're on the DLR side of Van Halen or the Van Hagar side of Van Halen, as people put it,
it's a brotherhood, man.
Well, I think that Van Halen has shaped everything that I think hard rock is to this day. I don't think guitar players play the way they play because that was that was a transformation over time because it just happened out of thin air. I mean, there's a direct response to what he did, what he brought.
Mhm.
I don't think you would ever have had Dimebag Darrell if you didn't have Eddie. I don't think you would have had prog rock in the standard form that it's in now if you didn't have Eddie.
Yeah.
His DNA is all over bands like Chon, Animals as Leaders, as much as some of these bands. And actually, this is a gripe I have with the prog rock community. Some of them don't point the finger in that direction. They're like, oh yeah, he was great, but we do it so much better. I've heard from some, and I'm not going to name who it is, but to me, that's like super offensive. That's like ridiculous.
You sure that they said, or is it maybe like we do?
It's kind of implied. It's kind of implied sometimes in that community.
Okay. Well, maybe they don't know where it comes from, and if they if you look at who they listen to, is it Eddie Van Halen or is it somebody else that they were into, like Dimebag Darrell? Who, if they looked into Dimebag Darrell's influences, he listened to, Eddie Van Halen. So, it's deep. It goes deep because he's affected so many other people, and the newer prog bands are more, inspired by somebody that they may not even know is inspired by Eddie Van Halen. So it goes back. But I hear you.
It just, to me, it's like I was watching the Eruption solo from Live Without a Net, which is probably their first real like mass produced concert video. Like there's a bunch of them. I was looking through YouTube last night. There's a bunch of stuff you can find out there that I've never seen before of them. Like there's a 1978 interview from London of all four of them. And they're such young kids. Like it's the first album. Like I think it's like the first time they've come to England essentially. Wow. And it's a guy from Australia interviewing them for like some weekly music show.
Right.
And just the youngness, but also the I don't give a fuck about you in that band was so great. Because the thing is like Nuno was saying in that piece, I mean, they totally earned their stripes. I mean, it was so funny. I was at a cocktail party in Pasadena, maybe in the fall. My friend Gina Long is like really attached to the city of Pasadena. She does this festival, which didn't happen this year, which was supposed to, called Taste of Pasadena.
Mm-hmm.
And basically this guy who was doing caricatures at the party, he actually saw Van Halen at a bunch of backyard parties. And the way the conversation come up is because Gina's son is a musician. He's got drum kits and guitars and everything else all around this one like music room they have in their house.
Right.
And so the guy was telling me stories, and it's just like, God damn, why couldn't I have been born in Pasadena in like the 60s and hanging out in backyards in 77 and like
that's
right
like
before Van Halen got signed.
Metallica days, or like where they were here, and like John, our friend, good buddy, his uncle's house, whatever, they talk about it and like give him
the Old Bridge Militia House.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, but this is before that, but at the same time, it's kind of the same thing because that's crazy. That was going on. So so you experienced it at that party with somebody who actually hung out with them in like backyard parties.
Knew the dad too. Eddie and Alex's dad.
Where are they originally from? The Van Halen?
So they're originally from. So the story goes like this, and I read up on it this week.
Right.
Their dad, who you can hear on Unchained, by the way, not too many people know that fact. Yeah, he goes where he goes, Dave, give me a break. One break coming up. That's their dad.
Nice.
Making fun of him. That suit is you. But anyway, back to the story. But they, the father was a jazz musician in Europe, born in Holland. And I guess he was on tour in Indonesia and met their mom and brought her back to Europe.
She's Indonesian?
Yeah, Indonesian. So they're part Asian, the Van Halen brothers.
I had no fucking idea. Wow. Deep.
Yeah. That's a long known fact that they're part Asian. And so I think the way the story went is he wanted a better life for his kids, so he came to California in like the early 60s, late 50s, and they did not speak English. They spoke Dutch when they came here.
Oh,
and they were truly immigrants, and they basically when the mom cleaned houses and the father worked as a janitor for the city of Pasadena, as well as was taking on gigs as a musician. But he wanted a better life for his kids, and they got it. You know, those guys worked really hard. My point being about that interview that I saw from them in London was that, you know, when Alex was asked at a very young age, and he must have been in his early 20s, late teens, you know, he said, well, how did you guys, you know, do your thing, blah, blah, blah. He goes, we played very fast, loud rock for 5 hours a night all over Southern California. And I always heard these stories about they would play out in like the Inland Empire, which now is considered like not such a great place to live.
Okay.
And like out by San Bernardino, like everyone calls it like the meth valley, and you know, it has some pretty negative connotations to it. But back in the day, I guess you could go out and play in Fontana, you can play in San Bernardino, you could play in Barstow, and you can play all these gigs. And they were playing as a cover band.
Right.
And playing originals as well. What's up?
I wonder what they were covering.
I would think like Zeppelin, you know, songs of the day, I would think. You know, mid-70s, mid-60s.
I heard that, what was his name? Alex. That's so rude. That's ignorant for me to say, excuse me. But Alex was playing guitar first, and then Eddie actually was playing drums first, and then he heard Alex play guitar, and then he took it and like ran with it.
But you talk about the genius. You know, there was another thing, and I knew this for a while, but they reiterated it, that there was an interview in '96, probably around when Balance came out, where he said, I can't read music. Eddie said, I can't read music. He goes, even though I took classical piano lessons and I was really good at it, I never read the music. I just watched the dude's hands and imitated what he did.
Right. And that's most people.
But the thing is to pick it up on one shot.
Well, I'm sure it transferred. He's got, you know, it's like you.
But that just goes to show his genius. I mean, the kinesthetic quality he has.
Absolutely. There's no,
know,
the genetic amazingness that.
Oh, I mean, just sick.
And the brothers too, which I always thought was really cool. And that, like, you playing with your brother, kind of like Dimebag and Vinny, you know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, those guys definitely modeled themselves after the Van Halen brothers.
I mean, I'm not trying to go like off topic, but I wonder who's the new, like, Dimebag, Vinnie Paul, you know, Eddie Van Halen, Alex
Van Halen
brothers.
Ooh.
Yeah,
well, it's definitely not going to be Wolfgang because he's a only child. But
he came out with a new album too. They were saying in this article.
Well, he's about to, I think, or if he has. I mean, I remember I followed Eddie's Instagram for a while, and I just, you know, he would always pop up every once in a while, and obviously he was curating it himself. There wasn't someone doing it for him. And I remember a bunch of months ago, he goes, Wolf, you working on a new record? And he took a picture of Wolfgang in the studio. He goes, this is going to blow people's minds. He was always so proud of his son. Musicians today, like, you know, we've talked about it on the show before. It's like earning your stripes, like Nino talks about, like how those guys did it, you know, putting the real 10,000 hours in. There was no YouTube lessons broken down of song tracks or whatever. If you had tablature inside a Guitar World at best.
Old school.
Is basically record player, put it down, put it back. What is he playing there? Try it again, put it back. That's how I learned. It was a long, arduous process.
Yeah, man, it's old school. Like fucking one takes, you know, but check this out. If you had a brother and you got to play music with him every day, like you'd be ahead of the game straight up.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's all they did.
Is you got to start before you're even in a band. Like, you know, I started playing in a band. I had to find that extra.
Well, the thing is with that family too, is the little thing about them is that they also were playing in their dad's jazz band. So they were learning like the number system of how guys would, you know, play jazz standards. What's up?
Yeah. Like composition and like.
Yeah. So from an early age, they knew how to play as in a band together.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You know, and there's, you know, I think also it's a different time too. It's like no distractions of like the internet, TV was limited. Absolutely. You had like what, 3 fucking channels back in the 60s?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, you played music, you took up a hobby, you took up a skill, you did something. And he really kind of just embodied everything that you should be to be a guitar player. Yeah. You know, there's a picture of him in the backstage area at the Whiskey A Go Go here in LA.
Hmm?
And every time I end up back there, I look at that picture and it's of him probably somewhere around 76 or 77, like way before they got signed.
Okay.
And it's him standing there with this blue homemade guitar, no Floyd Rose, just some fucking bridge tailpiece. Standing there like a cutoff shirt, looks like something straight out of Dazed and Confused.
Right.
And like just with this look on his face talking to somebody like, you know, about something. And it was a very serious look. Like you just tell how focused he was in that picture. It was taken at the Whiskey.
That's all. That's fucking incredible. Go ahead.
No. But I mean, I you know, every time I go to the Whiskey and I'm up in the backstage area, I always look at that photo and it's blown up. I think Neil Zaslower might be the one who had taken it, but it's really a testament to just show the focus of where he came from, you know, how he tinkered with things.
He's a legend, man. I was going to ask you for the audience and for, you know, just to know like the Floyd Rose, how he came up with that.
He didn't come up with it. It's the actual guy's name, Floyd Rose.
Well, Floyd Rose is the guy who came up with it, but he endorsed it, right?
He was one of the first ones to endorse it because Kramer Guitars was using it and he was endorsed by Kramer, kinda. Mm-hmm. I think it's what the deal was. Like the 5150 guitars you see were originally made by, they were Kramer necks with Kramer bodies, essentially. It's basically the Beretta.
Did he play Fender too? The Fender starts with a C.
What, Charvel?
Yep.
Well, Charvel's owned by Fender now. It wasn't back then, I don't think.
Oh, okay. That's what
it was owned by Jackson Guitars. So we'll get that's a whole other conversation for another time. But Jackson owned Charvel, but he had these boogie bodies. So like before Warmouth, there was a company that actually made like blanks, and he was a big tinkerer. You know, hence his guitar was called Frankenstein.
Right.
You know, so you can get those bought now for 25 fucking grand to spec, the ones that Fender makes.
So he customized his own shit, basically.
Always built his own stuff, built his own pedals. Like the MXR phasers that you see are his pure design. Like he was an electronics genius. He was like all these things that people don't realize of what he gave to music. Mm-hmm. I was over my sister's house the day after he passed away, and I was talking to my brother-in-law, and he's like, I didn't realize how big a guitar player he was. It's like, yeah, okay, dude, got it. You know, you're not a guitar player. But the effect he had on music was like huge.
Oh, it was monumental. It was
monumental.
Like, three of them was Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, and Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
You think about innovating your sound and like tinkering with your pedals and getting the right pedals that you didn't build, but like then to actually make them yourselves. If that's the case, that's really like being
very like age specific, you know.
What was it? The delay and like the phasing, the phaser.
Phaser was the big thing for him,
big thing, right? That was the big.
Yeah, and he was really big in using like those old school Echoplex tape delays and like modding them. Like I remember reading an article with him when I was a kid, and he was like, "Yeah," he goes, "When I originally had my Marshalls, I didn't like how the gain structure was in them." Mm-hmm. So he goes, "I figured out a way to take like a sliding, you know, light switch,
right,
and figured out that the voltage was more past what a 10 knob would be like on an amp,
right,
like potentiometer,
right.
So he used like the slider button on a potentiometer to make it even louder."
That's pretty
type
bad.
thing. So he was always screwing with stuff like that.
That's pretty fucking sweet.
A genius if you think about it.
I'm just gonna make something that I have internally here louder. Does this thing go to 11?
11.
Does it go to 11? So yeah, man, it's it's a good thing. What's your like? I guess like we're wrapping up this right now.
Yeah,
that people could take from this, or just
I think there's two things from Eddie Van Halen you can take away.
Right.
Musicality's one thing. Let's scratch the surface a little deeper.
Go deep.
Here's the thing. Let's talk about the musicality just real fast. Mm-hmm. There's something about Eddie's playing. There's this kid Peter's diary I've been checking out, and he made a really good point. This kid is like a child prodigy guitar player. And he was saying, I'm not really into Eddie's tapping stuff, but if you listen to the way Eddie played rhythms, mm-hmm. he's adding country in there. He's adding rock.
Right.
You know, the basis of what prog rock kind of follows now. If you listen to like Top Jimmy, there's that little like that's like
Right. There's
like, and it makes sense
genres
in a pop kind of pop rock kind of thing going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at that and you go, the attitude it takes to play stuff like that and not play safe and not play by the rules,
right out of the box.
Takes a lot of genius. Not even a lot of genius, but a lot of balls to do, because most people aren't going to take that chance. Probably explains why he liked motorcycles, fast cars, and skydiving,
right,
as hobbies.
Well, that's fantastic too. I was saying, for me, what I get from it is like somebody who pushed boundaries beyond what was the norm, but they also had a prog sound to them, but they also were very song friendly. Composition, so they weren't any.
I mean, they're big Dave Clark 5 fans.
They were progressive within the simplicity that they provided. I mean, they were a 4-piece with a singer that didn't play guitar.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty. It takes a great guitar player to be able to fill those gaps that a lot of times missing. If you see a 4-piece band, anybody else
also be so locked timing wise that it's like, yo.
Yeah. So R.I.P. Edward Van Halen.
So the other thing I would say I would take away from him is this. From watching all the interviews I've watched in the past few days and everything else, those guys had a work ethic that was unmatched.
Work ethic's everything.
Yeah. And I think the thing is more so back in their day because they did not have the avenues that everyone else has now.
Yeah, I mean, but, for me, what other avenues are there for you? What other avenues are there besides, really getting nitty gritty? You got to get nitty gritty. But
but I mean, the days of playing 5-hour sets, the covers, just to brush up your chops, that doesn't happen anymore. You're lucky if people are able to sell enough tickets to play 30 minutes at, say, a club in Los Angeles.
Very true. The only time you could play long is if you're in a cover band. So you got to eat that. You just got to swallow your pride pill.
Got to eat the crow, man.
Now it looks like you may want to cover the songs that you would want to cover, and you probably could. But what's the ones that are going to make you money? Then you can allow you to play your own music and do that all day long. So you're just getting better and better. Yeah, you don't want to play that music, but you're playing it because it allows you to play the music you want, and boom, then you become legends.
Yeah, I mean that's what I take away from it is like they're just consummate musicians who works really, really, really fucking hard.
God bless them. But, it's they've like I love Sammy Hagar. I love David Lee Roth too. But everything they've ever done has been awesome to me. I every song I've listened to has not sucked at all. And obviously, Hot for Teacher, even with the guitar and the drums together, like they're both in with their time.
What's so crazy about let's just touch on Alex's drum sound real quick.
Oh, it's so like John Bonham, but like on steroids because he has like a million more drums.
Yeah, but not only that, but if you listen to 5150, it's all electronic drums.
There's a lot of electronic, but there's got to be.
If you listen to fucking Hot for Teacher, those toms are electronic, by the way.
Yeah, I heard that too.
They're the original Simmons drums. So, hold on one second. I want to play something real quick while we go out.
Yeah, got it queued up.
Yeah, hold on.
Queuing it up.
You're queuing it up right here.
Yeah. Pretty shitty. Yeah. Not pretty shitty.
Yeah, here it is.
Nice.
It's the "We Love You, Eddie" thing.
What do we got? You gonna share?
1 second. Let me share that. Hey, shut up, computer. Of course, I'm going to edit that. Share the screen, yeah?
Yes, sure. Oops. Oopsies.
We'll just go audio with this one. But this was pretty interesting. It's about 2 minutes long. So we're going to go out on this, guys. Thanks for always listening to the Music Combine. And we'll catch you guys next week. And I'm sure we'll have something better to talk about. Oh, by the way, before we do start this week is Jason Deering, an amazing musician and friend of mine from way back in the day who has his own solo career at the moment. And we also want to congratulate him on his second born, Jackson Deering, who came into the world a few weeks ago. So
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, congratulations. Give a listen to the episode on Friday as usual, 9 p.m. 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. On the East. So, guys, have a great week, and we'll finish off on this note.
Rock out.
We just walked off stage from Catalina concert on the beach, something we've been planning for months.
Birthday bash for Sam. Couldn't do it in Cabo this year because of COVID, so I'm doing it here for everyone.
It was great after not seeing these guys and playing together for 8 months,
7, 8 months.
But the craziest part of the whole thing is that here we are, the circle where we play Montrose, Chickenfoot, Early Sammy, we play Van Halen, we play Led Zeppelin, right? And after the unfortunate thing that happened with Eddie Van Halen yesterday, which was, for Mike and I, was just like getting hit by a freaking Mack truck. Ooh, kind of took the wind out of the sails for this sailing.
It makes it, I mean, for being such a occasion that we wanted to promote here, it made it very bittersweet.
I just want to say that I'm kind of devastated we get to do it again tomorrow. I tell you, a Van Halen song never felt so hard to sing and play in my life.
It was hard.
It was.
It's very surreal right now, and it hasn't sunk in yet.
Well, what I felt playing, especially a song like Right Now that's so timeless, that I felt, wow, thank God for this. You know what I mean? It's like we'll never play with Eddie again, but thank God for this.
We have the music.
The music will live forever,
I mean,
and
if nothing else.
I'll sing it as long as I live.
We love you, Eddie.
I think crazy things happen. Something very unexpected, expected but unexpected happened yesterday. And so if you don't mind, y'all out there, without saying too much, before this next song, I'd just like to have a moment of silence. Please. Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week.
Take care.